Hello and welcome to the Smart RV Podcast. John Vanek here in Douglas County, Nevada, joined by my co-host live also in Douglas County, Nevada, Joe Symmes.
Thank you, John. Live in the studio.
That's right.
This is great to be together and be able to record a session side by side instead of cross country from each other.
I had a bunch of awning work kind of come in. We'll talk a little bit about that. And for our techs out there, you know that in most cases, awning work is at least a 2-technician job. Sometimes you can use even a third set of hands. Joe wanted to play around, and we haven't seen each other face to face in over a year. So you came out to Nevada. So
Yeah.
are you surviving Nevada? Let's talk about the weather.
Thank you, dear listeners, for humoring us with our weather conversation. So yes, though it will date the episode a bit, late October visit, and I've been asking John, if it gets much colder than this, I don't know if I can take it.
Well, it will get colder, but Joe will be back in Mississippi enjoying 80-degree weather around Christmas time.
But I do have to say, for travelers out there, Northern Nevada, never spent a lot of time in the area, but I've fallen in love with. It's beautiful country. Wow, these things that rise from the ground, mountains, they call them out here. Beautiful, absolutely stunning scenery. Couldn't have a better place to visit.
We even had a little dusting of snow in the Carson Range up in the 9,000 to 10,000 foot range. So views out the windows right now are quite pretty.
Yes, I cannot imagine what it's like if we're closer to the white stuff. I'm glad it's thousands of feet from here.
So Joe and I make an effort to get together whenever we can. And it was actually the same week, a year ago, we met up in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Arabian Horse National Championships. That's a whole other part of my life, my wife's life with horses, but we did a lot of work there. We had a lot of fun. And so here we are a year later. Maybe next year I'll be in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Yeah, what do they call it in the industry? A teaser, maybe, for things to come. Smart RV Podcast, maybe on location next year, and we'll be trying to educate John on how wonderful and beautiful the Deep South can be in the fall, and see if we can have him survive an October maybe in a t-shirt and shorts. You know, the arduous life.
There we go. It'd be a pleasure. So listen, we had some pretty interesting awning calls. The first one was a complete replacement of all of the hardware after the original awning was damaged. And so what'd you think of that job, Joe? We had to take everything off and then put everything brand new back onto the travel trailer.
Yeah, intimidating work to be sure, because you're dealing with large, very large pieces. Maybe the single biggest piece on your RV, you know, single piece of equipment might be the awning, and lots of danger. There's been many techs injured in awning work due to forces of springs and gas pistons and struts and things. And the real danger, not to scare too many DIYers, but advantage of hiring a professional, there can be forces you don't realize. The awning tube might be tight tension, then you don't realize unless you know how to put a pin in the mechanism and reduce an unspinning kind of effect. The arms also seem kind of benign when they're all the way in, but can, once they start to spring out, can be very dramatic. So there's certain ways that you can counter these springs, like I said, with the pin in a roll tube, for example. There's certain tips and tricks a lot of techs will know of, using maybe zip ties or something to hold an awning arm up to the side of the rig. And I explain to my customers, it's kind of like you see on TV, and the alligator wrestler's got the tape around the gator's mouth, and he can't open it because he's not strong that way. So our Florida viewers will definitely understand that analogy.
Well, we had it was an 18-foot roll tube, and of course, you know, when it gets shipped from the factory, it comes in a big cardboard roll tube that's about 20 feet long. The awning is already attached to the roll tube, and then we had the arms that we had to remove off the old rig and put on. And in one respect, it was fairly simple because we knew exactly where we were going. The rails on the walls were not going to change position or anything like that. But different awning manufacturers, they have different awnings. The way they're manufactured, the way they operate varies from one manufacturer to another, and can also vary among the different models that manufacturers offer.
Yes, they can be intimidating as far as what to order. That's another area DIY folks can have a difficult time. And we've talked in the past about unrolling your awning tube and taking a picture, writing down the data label on the inside of the tube. And that definitely helps, definitely is useful. But as John was alluding to, there's also, again, the physical size to an awning. Though you own an RV, maybe you don't own, if it's a motorhome, maybe you don't own a pickup. If you own a pickup, maybe you don't have a 20-foot trailer or something to carry that big of pieces in. So there are some definite logistics challenges with the size.
So the owner of the rig wanted to be involved, and he helped us out. And so we appreciated Rod's assistance. It's always good to have third set of hands at least. And we had 3 ladders on scene, and it went pretty smoothly. The second awning job was a larger fifth wheel, and the awning had started ripping in a windstorm, and the owner decided that the best thing to do was to detach the awning. So they had sliced it up along the rail. It's the rail that attaches the awning to the side of the RV. They just sliced it, and when I went out there to look at it the first time, the roller was extended. It was as if the awning was in the extended position. The roller had all of the fabric wrapped around it, and it was being supported on ladders. And so, and in this case, the owner had already purchased a replacement fabric from a third-party fabric manufacturer. She did not go right back to the factory. So we were concerned, and we really wanted to make sure she had ordered the proper size. But we did some measurements. We were confident of that. But then we didn't know, again, coming back to that question, what's happening with the arms? Where's the tension? Where are the forces going to go? Is there a torsion spring inside the roller? And which way is it wanting to make the roller operate? And so that was actually a little more challenging.
Yeah. So quick question for you, maybe to inform our audience, is there consistency among manufacturers? The number of springs, the location of the spring? Yeah.
No. No. And part of the research is trying to determine what model you have and then reaching out to the manufacturer. Unfortunately, in this case, the labels were gone. There was no way to identify other than visually the type of awning. We were pretty confident that it was a Dometic awning just based on the design, and that gave us a big clue. And then once we got up there and started working on it, we could feel the tension in the roll tube, and pin it so that it doesn't all unravel on you and get hurt, because you have to take the roller off of the arms. And so we got them off, we got the old fabric off, we got the new fabric on, and then we reattached everything. And what was kind of the big symptom that we came across?
Yeah, great question, because excellent learning point at this point. So this, again, just to kind of recap and set our scene here where we are, this awning had a motor on one end, spring on the other. And because it was a kind of a catastrophic event when it came down, we were left unaware of the state of the spring. We knew and could feel that it had some tension, but awning springs are kind of a mechanical device such that it needs to be set the proper tension. Can be set too tight, can be set too little. We could feel there was some tension. We didn't know, is this enough? Is it not enough? Is it too much? So pinned it to be safe, put the new awning in, and then tried to operate the first time, as John's alluding to. And the awning, now to kind of educate a little section here on how to tweak, how to adjust, how to properly tension an awning spring. The awning went in very, very slowly, came out very quickly. And what does that indicate, John?
Not enough tension in the roller. And when we say it went in slowly, It looked slow, but yet actually the third awning job we did over the last 3 days, that awning also rolled in very slowly. It was about the same speed. The big thing that caught our attention was as the roller was being extended, it would start and it would get faster and faster and faster until the last 3 feet. It was really fast. And when the owner let go of the switch to stop it extending, kind of the whole thing rattled. That's how fast it was going. It was clearly too fast on the extension side.
So essentially, for physics hobbyists, physics interested viewers, what's happening is the spring is helping the situation in that as an awning goes in, it's going against gravity. And so the spring unwinds to help the motor against gravity up to the side of the rig. As an awning comes out, it's going with gravity. And so the spring winds and kind of gets recocked, so to speak, which allows it to unwind and help you back up. And it also allows it to ease down and slow the descent of the awning, again, when deploying, when coming out from the rig. So that's why there are such things as spring. It helps both ways, helps get up, helps slow down coming out. And what we had in this case, obviously, you've put 2 and 2 together by now, we did not have enough tension. And so it was not helping enough going up and was not slowing enough or winding or cocking enough going down.
So we had to add spring tension. And to back up just 1 second, we surmised when we were finished here that the spring had probably lost tension when the fabric was torn and the owner just sort of let the spring roll up the roller and pull all that fabric down onto the roller. And so that's where it lost the tension. And the process of adding tension or relieving spring tension is kind of beyond the scope of the podcast today. It's something that's better seen visually and explained. You have to be very careful because these springs can have a lot of tension. You can find a lot of pictures of techs that have bleeding from their hands or other parts of their body, broken fingers, because you're usually grabbing on to part of the mechanism with either vice grips or some other tools, and if you lose control of those things, you can get hurt. So it's not to be taken lightly. But
you're working on top of a ladder while doing that.
Right. We were in a kind of a precarious position because there was some other materials around the rig. It wasn't completely flat and clean. It wasn't like we're sitting in a shop where we have a nice clean work floor and things like that.
And then, dear audience, if the drama wasn't enough, apparently in northern Nevada, there's winds.
Oh yeah,
wind comes
that's
up
right. That's right.
So picture this. There we were, at the top of the ladder, adding spring tension, already very dangerous, and the wind picks up.
That happens around here. We get our afternoon winds. And so it's flapping around. Anyway, we added roughly 4 turns eventually is what it took.
Keep count while you're doing this.
So we adjusted it. We would roll it in and out, realize we need more tension, add some more tension. So it ended up being 4 complete turns that we needed. So we had to disassemble, take the roller off of the mount, off the arm each time, do the tensioning, kind of a bit of a process, remount it. But ultimately, we got that taken care of, and the owner was thrilled to have a working awning now.
Yeah, and adjusting the right tension. We're able to grab the owner's attention and, kind of approve to her satisfaction. Yeah, this thing is going in and out the speed that it used to. Everything is safe. We completely secured the awning back together again, all the pins in, everything tight. So great job working with John on this. Great job for the customer. We're able to make a dangerous situation safe. So yeah, awning work can be fun, rewarding, but it is difficult if you're going to try it yourself for the first time, because there's some real techniques, there's some real procedures, and there's some real danger.
And we also happened to find a pretty good sizable point of potential water intrusion when we were up on the roof, because on the rail, either typically at the ends of the rail near the end of the awning material, but in this case it happened to be mounted right in the middle, they'll put a screw that goes through the rail frame, through the polycord, which is the thick nylon cord that kind of holds the fabric together and against the wall. But you put set screws in there so the awning cannot shift left or right. And we went up there to set that screw and happened to notice a pretty sizable point of potential water intrusion on the rear cap. So we fixed that for our client also.
Yeah, great suggestion, John, because as we've discussed, I don't know any tech that doesn't, definitely the reputable ones, that don't take a look around anytime they're on a roof for any reason. Hey, how does this look? Do I see anything I want to bring to my client's attention? Because frankly, most RVers don't go on their roof every day. And I almost never go on a roof without bringing my cell phone with me to capture a couple photos. And it's great then to stand on the ground and tell the customer, hey, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I recommend. You're good. You're not good. You need this. Just a great kind of value add while you're there.
While you're up on the roof, check out the roof.
Yeah.
Now, our third awning on install in 3 days, along with other work we were doing, that was actually pretty straightforward. It was a Solera awning. The fabric had ripped a little bit and the owners wanted it replaced. And we learned something, or we want you to understand something that's kind of interesting about Solera awnings when they have an LED light strip. And that light strip that sits under the awning is attached to a piece of plastic that is itself attached to a piece of polycord underneath the awning. And the LED strip of lights, they are hardwired in, and you literally pull that strip, that 18-foot strip of LED lights out. Then you pull off that plastic strip that holds the lights, then you can remove the awning, and then you put the new awning back on, and then you put that strip back on, and you put the LEDs on. And that's something that I'd actually never come across before because my previous Soleras did not have lights installed on them.
Yeah, and to be clear, this isn't necessarily all awnings with lights. So
That's right.
The first one we did, it was already in the fabric. What brand was that?
Carefree of Colorado. Yep. The Carefree of Colorado,
yep.
Their lights were already built into the fabric itself.
So new fabric, new lights.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, interesting. And I know we're kind of deep in the weeds on technical points here, but that's why you subscribe to Smart RV, to get the inside scoop and to know what others don't know. And some techs are learning. Yep. And that is that all lights, awning lights, are not created equal. Some come with, some you need to remove the old and add back to the new fabric. There's not an industry standard as far as the lights go.
So all these awning processes, you can certainly go and find lots of YouTube videos on mounting, changing, etc. I think what's important to know here is that if you're going to take it on as a DIYer, it is absolutely doable, provided you understand what's going on with your particular awning, and that you have another set of hands or two, and ladders, particularly if you have a taller RV with where you're up, 13 feet and you're trying to deal with mounting the awning on the rail.
Yeah.
Because awnings, they can weather relatively quickly depending on where you are. Your awnings should be cleaned and washed at least a couple times a year. I always recommend that if you have rain or snow, if you have any sort of water coming down on your RV, as soon as the sun comes out, roll out your awning, because water will have gotten into the awning. That's probably the biggest source of mold creation on the underside, which is unsightly when you roll it out for the first time of the year and you wonder why you have all this dark stuff.
Yeah. Right? And folks probably wouldn't think about, you can be driving down the road on your way to your campsite or coming back home, and you go through a small rainstorm. I know this has happened to me. You rolled it up dry, no problem. You had a rainstorm on the way home. You're home and it's dry and it's sunny, and you're not thinking, I went through a rainstorm because everything's dry. But that water, especially at highway speed, can get shoved into the awning, and then it's going to sit.
And it's trapped
in the South, warm, dark, wet environment, and that equals mold.
So we ended up with a couple other jobs with it. We'll probably talk about maybe our next episode, Call of the Week. We'll talk about some interesting electrical things that we had to diagnose, and we did some roof sealing work.
Oh yeah.
And I think we've both kind of lost track of all the work we've done. We did complete removal and installation of a new water heater in a 20-year-old travel trailer. And as you can imagine, that brought several challenges with it.
So water heaters, right? Sounds simple. You have one at your house, as a matter of fact. But John, do water heaters involve 12-volt electrical?
Yes, they do.
How about 120-volt AC?
Yes, they do.
What about plumbing? Is it
yes,
plumbing
they do.
And a gas-powered water heater might have
propane.
Oh, wow! We're checking all the boxes there, sports fans.
yeah. But we got a lot of work done, and we've had a great time together. Joe, it has been great to have you out here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the invite. What a pleasure.
And next time we talk, we'll be back in our separate studios with another episode of the Smart RV podcast. Well, I'll just turn the heat up here, and Joe will turn his air conditioning on at home, and we'll all be good. So
we'll be virtually together
again in our climate controlled homes. All right, buddy. Great to see you. It's been a good time. We hope you've enjoyed this, learning a little bit about awnings, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Smart RV podcast. This is John
and Joe
saying have a good evening. Safe travels. Bye-bye.
So long.